Yeah. Oh. Dang, kid. Hey guys, thank you for giving me so much feedback on my first video on the Hard Cross 5 here from Husqvarna. There are a lot of good questions. What's the durability? Is the warranty worth the poop? Like, is it too good to be true for the price that it is? What components are bad on it? What would you change on it? Does the battery fall out of it? These are all legitimate questions, and there's only one way to see if any of that happens. We're gonna ride it until it breaks. Down the hardest trails I can find with the most skill that I can push it through. So I'm gonna take this bike throughout all of Northern Arizona on a tour. I'm gonna carry an alternate, but I'm only gonna use it if this bike breaks. In these trails, this whole tour will expose the weaknesses in this bike, and then you'll know whether or not this is truly an epic bike for the lower price points, or you just pay less to get less. We'll go over durability of the bike frame itself, all the external components, how well the warranty process went when I did break it through Husqvarna, and then you can decide for yourself whether or not this is a true market-breaking bike or if it's just another gimmick out there.
Tires seem to be doing all right. Oh! These pedals hang down too low. Ooh. I'll pedal up. Dude, come on. You're supposed to be metal. Let's get plastic pedals. Oh, it's all bent. It feels so funky to pedal. No way. It didn't bend the crank, did it? Bent the axle? Oh. What a show.
So it comes with tires that are pretty nice. It has Maxxis factory. You can tell they're factory by the white lettering, but I'll tell you, they're thin walls and they pinch and they failed repeatedly. It's fine if you're just riding this bike moderately for comfort because it has so much travel, but if you're really going to try and put this thing through a serious fast pace over some rocky terrain, I would suggest changing those tires immediately.
Hey, my chain broke.
This bike comes stock with an X01 manual Eagle drivetrain, which actually works fairly well. I don't think it'll last very long because e-bikes are really hard on manual drivetrains that are not T-type. But if we're measuring how one will work better for e-bikes, I think the X01 platform for manual drivetrains is best. However, this one did slip off the cog, not just once, but several times during my kind of bike venture journey, and I kind of didn't happen that much to be terribly annoying, but it was enough to be a noble issue in this video. Moved on from Williams into Prescott before we hit Flag. We are on Mingus Mountain, and this is Little Jaeger. Mingus is one of the king places to go in Prescott if you're wanting like real trails, and then there's the newer one called the Bean Peaks that we'll go to next. But Little Jaeger is a nice little fast trail. It's shuttleable on 2 points, but I shuttled myself because there was only me and I had an e-bike, so it was key.
Yeah, sure. Hey, sir, how are you? Going the wrong way.
So he told me I was going the wrong way, and I actually hate to be that guy that's going the wrong way, but I have no way to shuttle up this, and there is no other access road. It's like an obscene way farther. So normally, somebody like him and his buddy, they probably brought 2 cars and shuttled to the top, and either did Jaeger Canyon or Little Jaeger here, because you can do that. But this is actually a 2-directional multi-use trail, and you're just going to have to put up with hikers and people like me climbing up it. And I promise you, if I could have met up with somebody here in Prescott to shuttle any of these things, I would have done it. But I have the second best thing, and that is a very strong full-powered e-bike that will climb up more or less everything, as long as you also have the will to do it.
Oh, very rocky. Note to self, very chunky. missed the one turn. Fail. Missed my one chance to fly down that section. Ah. Break loose at any moment on all these rocks. 100%. You'll break loose. Okay, yeah, there's no drift in that. This is rough. Oh, something happened. Of course. How bad is it? Got that corner drifting. Ooh. Chickened out right there. Could have drifted that, but there's cactuses kind of freaked me out. I don't mind falling off a hill. You fall into a cactus though, it's just... That cactus has been hit by people. You can tell that cactus has had a hard life. He took the worst spot to grow. Poor thing. Ooh, you gotta really hug that. Okay. Thanks, sir. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. That's why I wear a full face. Could have hit that tree. I was about to hit it. Alright, there's a lot of fails. I was focused before I popped my tire, and I gotta get refocused. Can't drift those. I don't know how. Fail. It's still fun. Ow. Tree. Woo. Bad line choice. Okay. It's definitely much more enjoyable, the descent in this thing. This thing handled that whole descent. The battery's still there. Just saying, that was pretty chunky. Most of it, then the rest of it was smooth, but. Okay, so no doubles, just nice flowy singles. Yeah, very nice. Oh yeah. Drift that stupid corner. Get it. Oh, dude, this trail's so sick. Bro, you're flying into a bunch of logs if you don't watch it. I don't even know what happened. What did I hit? Ow! Get off the trail before you get ran over. What did I hit? I don't even get it. I must have hit that. Is this broken now? Dude, no. Oh. This bike is done for. I completely ripped off that head. Shit. Okay, well, the controller sucked anyways. I can't even find all the pieces.
Yes, I didn't really care for how fragile the EP801 controller was on the left-hand side. The EP800 setup seemed to be a little bit more robust and lower profile, so I don't know why they deviated away from it, but whatever. Cool thing was the bike knew that we had crashed and that the controller was broken, so it stuck us in eco mode as like a limp mode to get home, which was key.
Okay, I'm a little smoother this time. There's a lot to process the last time. I crashed in the same place. Idiot. Shit. Not again. Huh? Of course we're in. You afraid of a little rain? Actually, it'll probably be real refreshing. We're not going to be all dying. Yeah. Oh. Dang, kid. Well. Here, just pull that bike. Pull that bike. Pull it all the way down here. Damn, you bent that brake lever. What happened?
Oh man.
Okay. There. Here. You're getting pretty heavy. Okay.
Why?
You're almost gonna have no front brake.
What?
Front brake's pretty gnarred. It's completely cracked in half. Yeah, you this bike up pretty good.
This is the poor Magura MT7 brake that Dominic finished off, and well, I could just buy a new master cylinder, but if you're going to do that, you might as well just buy the whole new brake. Lucky for us, a front brake is super easy to reinstall, so we just bought a random front brake from a bike shop, and we are back in business. We were in Sedona, and we stopped at the Huckabee parking lot, and we biked all the way up this fire road to the top of Schnebly Hill, and man, is it a sight. Sedona is quite beautiful. We're here to hit Munn's Wagon Trail. It's one of the only Black Diamond downhill courses in Sedona.
Took his seat, stretched it out, and it was hanging off. There, still you can kind of, yeah, so that broke. Coming up here. But we don't know what we're going to do about that. Try not to break it more. Needs is just to last down the hill. Dominic has officially no seat. It's gone. We don't know where it is. It's somewhere up that trail, and we're not going to go find it. Thing's useless anyways. He says it's not too terribly uncomfortable since he's got the padded shorts. But we're going downhill anyways. Just be careful how far you lean back, all right? Things I would maybe upgrade to make this bike a little better. The seat, not because it's uncomfortable, but because it's not the most durable thing. And upgrade the tires immediately. And you're going to have to convert this to tubeless. You're going to have to get tubeless rim tape and maybe some double down casing with the same tires. I also did switch the front to 2.7 because I thought the 2.5 in the front with the 2.7 in the rear just didn't work. Like it might work for motorcycles that way, but it doesn't really do well. Normally in the mountain bikes, you like a bigger front tire and a smaller rear tire to whip around. So if anything, a 2.7 up front and 2.5 in the rear, but I just have dual 2.7s and they handle very well in the terrain. I know a lot of people are like, why did you bring an e-bike to a mountain bike park that's all downhill? Well, there were sections of flat and uphill on some of these trails, and I'll tell you, the e-bike was all right. It also did handle down really well. You can tell it's a lot more front heavy. You did have to watch it. I did compare this directly to a standard downhill acoustic bike that I took. Like, this is one of 3 bikes I took up here. And yeah, there's a difference in the bike just being kind of front heavy, but that's all e-bikes. And that's just something you're going to have to get used to. I've heard of people just removing the batteries and using the bike that way, and you can do that, but only for one that's like a true downhill, not like this one where it's kind of hybrid. So because the motor control exploded in Prescott into a million pieces, this bike was down for a while. That was a major failure. You cannot ride the bike without a controller, and Shimano was completely out of controls for the bike. My local bike shop, Cycle Therapy in Lake Havasu, did me a solid by just fronting me an additional controller. That they took a loss there, but so I could ride this, and that's why I was able to take it to Greer and have some fun there with it. But that was just an external component. You know, it's not really part of the bike. But when part of the bike actually broke, it was out here somewhere in Sarah Park, and I had cracked the chainstay, like gusset between both chainstays, and Husk warranted it. There's the brand new chainstay. Plus, they helped cover some of the labor because, you know, labor for the bike shop to put that on also costs money. So they did help out there. So, I mean, as far as warranties go, it's pretty solid. They did everything they said they were supposed to do. But the main reason the chainstay broke was because the main pivot bolt at the bottom, like, came loose and started backing out, going down a pretty gnarly trail, and then one side of the chainstay started flexing, and I think that's where the frame failure was. I didn't catch it fast enough before I could get back in. None of the other pivot bolts from the seat stay to the shock were loose. It was just the main pivot there at the bottom next to the motor. If you're going to ride this thing hard, I would invest in a cheap torque wrench from Amazon and go ahead and torque that thing to spec after every hard ride or after every so many miles. And to keep the new controller safe, I moved it behind the seat post lever. That way I could face it back towards me. And this helps tremendously during a crash on keeping that thing clear of contact with the ground. Trust me, I tested that theory out, unfortunately. But despite my gripe with the controls, the Shimano EP801 motor is fantastic. It climbs just as good as anything, and it felt like the battery lasted forever. It's got a 720 watt battery, which at the stock settings, you can just ride all day. Now you can go ahead and manipulate the settings. That is a new firmware update you can just do. You can update it on the computer to whatever specs you want for each mode. It's got 3 modes, Eco, Trail, and Turbo. Make them as aggressive or non-aggressive or ramped up as you want. You can even opt for the motor to spin the crank after you stop cranking for I think a split second or two, just to give you that little extra edge up a push. It has that option to compete directly with all the new motors coming through. So like it being updatable through a computer is actually really awesome. How does the bike perform overall? It kind of reminds me of my Trek Rail. It's kind of good everywhere, but it doesn't dominate everywhere. It's kind of like a jack of all trades. What it means is that even with all that travel, it still climbs exceptionally well, even around tight stuff at low speeds. I was actually really surprised because a lot of these e-enduro bikes out there are a lot longer and more slacked in that they can still climb, but not necessarily this well. Going down, it did really well because it has all that travel. Now, the geometry, if it was a little bit more slacked and the bike was a little longer, like the chainstay was a little longer, it'd be more stable, but then it would be less playful, and I don't know.
It's really hard to win everywhere. I also thought that the Schnebly X01 standard drivetrain performed exceptionally well, especially because this was an e-bike. I think a GX T-type drivetrain would be key on this bike, but then that would make the bike a lot more in money. So for the money, I do think that the XO is better than the XT drivetrain, specifically for e-bikes. It's just much more stable and it's less of a chance of shredding it. So adding a GX T-type drivetrain was the last thing I did to this bike, and I think it's more or less complete. I almost got a coil shock just because of how nice and linear they feel, but the air shock is more tunable and it definitely helps you on the climbs more with all that travel there in the back. So we're gonna just leave the bike as is. It is perfect. The things needed to make it better for my preference were pretty much just that, preference, and those things aren't terribly expensive. Just set the bike up how you want it. And last but not certainly least, that little quarter turn with the Allen wrench after you hand tighten the battery door, that thing never came off ever. Be sure to check out my Gas ECC6 review. I also have that floating around. It's an awesome bike. It is now my new favorite bike. Anyways, guys, thank you much for the views. Take care.